Hello, my name is Ben, this is Boardgame Dad, and if you're familiar with the channel, then you know that I'm always excited about games that keep everyone engaged with simultaneous gameplay. So today, I'm thrilled to share a special list with you. These are my top 5 favorite games where it's always your turn. No waiting, just non-stop action and fun. The first game on my list is new to my collection, and I only recently did a full-length review on it. The game is called Raising Robots, and to summarize it, I'd kind of describe it as Wingspan if Wingspan was played with everyone taking their turns simultaneously. Players are using energy cards, and with the 2 energy cards they draw, they have to assign actions. Now, after everyone makes this choice, simultaneously of course, any excess energy goes to a common supply, and that common energy can be used by all players. So every round, you get to perform the 2 actions that you selected, as well as any actions that other players selected if energy poured over. That means each round you can be performing 2, 3, even 4 actions, and the game gives you a lot to think about. The second game on my list is something that I reviewed about a year ago. I really enjoyed it back then, and I'm still enjoying it today. It's called Earth, and Earth is another tableau builder game where players are building an island. So the idea is to be able to gather enough resources to play cards in order to fill out and complete a grid. But there's a lot of engine building in here, because on one person's turn, they are selecting an action and triggering every card that matches the color of that action. But while they're doing that, every other player is doing that too. So every person's choice triggers cards for everyone at the table. So there's a lot of stuff going on constantly throughout this game. It's also worth mentioning that the publishers of Earth, Inside Up Games, also make a game called Draft and Write Records, which I very highly praised when I did my top 10 family games. However, between the two, personally, I like Earth a little bit more, but the thing with Draft and Write Records is that it does appeal to a wider spectrum of ages. So if you've got a family, you might want to take a look at Draft and Write Records or the other games on that list. Number 3 is possibly my favorite family game of all time. I've been praising this game for a few years now. It's the game Karuba. Now, one thing about Karuba that I want to share is that it's possible to buy 2 copies of this game and combine them so you can play up to 8 players. It requires a few modifications to the rewards, which I will describe in the description of this video, but the fact that the game has flexibility like that makes it even better, in my opinion. Anyway, it is a route completion game of sorts. Each turn, one player flips over a tile, and every player uses the exact same tile, placing it on their grid to make a route for their explorers to get to their treasures. And the 2 choices they can make are to either place the tile, or if they don't want to or can't place the tile, they can discard the tile to advance one of their explorers. And in this way, everyone is racing to get treasures. Number 4 is a game of phenomenal design. It's called Rainforest City, and in Rainforest City, players are building an ecosystem and attracting animals into their rainforest city. Each round, 4 pairs of cards are dealt to the center of the table, and one player chooses the pair of cards that they're going to add to their own city. But their choice dictates how the other 3 pairs of cards get given to their opponents. The objective of the game is to place animals in ecosystems in such a way that their food chain is supplied. At the end of the game, every animal that fits in a food chain is going to give you points, whereas animals that can't eat are going to count against you. There's also objectives to compete for as well. If you really like the game Sagrada or Calico, 2 challenging but excellent tile placing games, this game is that, but with everyone playing simultaneously. But you're gonna have to specially order it because it ships from Singapore. I myself bought it at Essenspiel. So if you can't get your hands on that, A great alternative would be Tiny Towns. Tiny Towns has a similar structure, but that one ships from Amazon, and I'll let you check that one out on your own. The last game I want to share with you is also new to my collection, and it does simultaneous gameplay in a way that's different from all the other games. The game is Daylight, and Daylight is designed in part by Matt Leacock, the designer of Pandemic, and it plays in a similar way in that every round there are going to be actions that players are taking in order to prevent global warming. And then after everyone has taken their actions, there's another phase where cards are revealed and bad things happen and the conditions in the world get worse. But here's the big difference. If you're familiar with Pandemic, then you know that it's everyone taking one turn at a time. And because everyone's taking one turn at a time, it kind of lends itself to that alpha player problem, where one player is kind of dictating what everybody else should do. In Daylight, everyone has a hand of cards, and everyone is playing their cards simultaneously. They can take as many actions as they want until they choose to stop. But while everyone is playing simultaneously, there can be table talk. So players can say things like, okay, I have a great set of cards that can really help us out, but in order to play it, I need such and such. Does anybody have something that can enable me to get such and such so that I can, play this action? People can puzzle through the best way to play their cards without worrying about taking a long time, and best of all, without worrying about the alpha player who's trying to dictate. So of all the games that I've reviewed featuring simultaneous gameplay, those are my personal favorites. But I certainly haven't played all there are, and I'd love to hear what your favorites are, especially, by the way, your favorite roll and writes, because I didn't give enough attention to those, and I'd like to hear if there's a really good one that I'm missing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I want to remind you, if you haven't already checked out the Perfect Board Game Quiz, do take a look at it because it has been updated for the new version of the Perfect Board Game formula, and there are several new ways to discover board games on theperfectboardgame.com. Thanks again, and a special thank you to my patrons for sponsoring this channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.